Everybody, it's Carol Billing. Let's talk about this next bit of work for your Econ Personal Finance 418 class. So first off, standards. You won't have searchable standards to add, so you'll need to add a blank card. I would leave this one because we'll get those added eventually, and you'll have access to them. So I would just add another card between these two and just type in your standards, copy paste them from either PDFs or your deliverable last week, wherever you have them. So make sure you do that. And then on the objectives, I want to walk through these briefly. In the next 2 weeks, I want you to select and design your lesson plan template that you plan to use. And I have personal finance up first, but you may do econ first if you'd like. I don't really care what the subject is, just for my like peace of mind and organization in my lesson plans. I'm going to say you're going to do personal finance first, but if you'd like to do econ first, that's fine. Okay. So I said personal finance lessons 1 and 2. The earlier you get them to me, the earlier I can get feedback to you. And I'm going to try to do almost like a 12-hour turnaround on these first, or even faster than that, on these first 2 lesson plans, because I think if I give you good feedback in the beginning, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 are going to go through a lot quicker. And you have 12 total to do, which is actually, I don't know. I think a lot, but I don't know. I guess we'll know soon enough. I think you're totally capable though. So excited about seeing what you have. You're going to have your personal finance standards in your lesson. You're going to write clear objectives. So what do you want the students to learn? And then the um, the pairing to that is your outcomes. So objectives is what you plan to teach. Outcomes is how you can evaluate what the students have learned. So how can they demonstrate that they learned what you were trying to teach? How can you show the objectives have been measured? Okay, so that's going to be your assessment or your project, or it can also happen during class time when you're doing any sort of ed tech that's going to give you some data showing the students have comprehended whatever you've been trying to teach them. So that's a lot easier with math, where you can throw them on Khan Academy and they can do a certain thing in Khan and show mastery. Then, I mean, that's like super easy. Math is always easy. But anyway, so you have to be a little bit more creative. Although if you're teaching something in personal finance that has a math component, you could have them do a lesson in Khan, and that would meet that objective. That would show an outcome for that objective. So anyway, so that goes on to the next question. Include pre-work, distribute it in a blended method. So what are you going to have them do the night before to prepare for class? Because if you start a topic cold in class, you're taking them from zero knowledge and you're trying to ramp them up to something, I don't know, whatever, like 10, and then you're expecting them to do critical thinking on top of that. So don't do that to yourself. It's harder. Give them pre-work. So have them listen to something like a podcast the night before, or watch a TED talk. Create your own lesson using screencast, or Educreations is another one, um, where you're showing them the content a little bit early so they can sort of familiarize themselves with it. Maybe they'll even think about it, while they're getting dressed for school. Who knows? On the drive to school. You could have them do a flip grid saying, what do you know about this topic, if you maybe have time to look at that flip grid before class. So lots of different ideas for introducing the topic before they actually ever come to class. And I'm a big fan of giving written something they need to read, and then a very quick, like 5-question quiz that due before class. So I know they have to do the pre-work before they come to class. That's a great method for ensuring that they have done the work you want them to do before they come to class. All right, your lesson will also have instructions. Make sure you use specific time allocations. This is how you start learning. How long does it take me to introduce an idea? I only want to talk 5 minutes. And what am I going to say in those 5 minutes? You have to bullet it out and really be specific. Otherwise, when you get up there, you might go through it quickly and you forget a step, and then they're sort of looking at you like, what are you talking about? Because what you've explained, you missed a step. So be very specific in your instruction and give yourself time allocations, how much time you think it will take. And then also, this forces you to set timers when you're going to give them time to work. I'm going to give them 5 minutes to come up with 3 ideas about whatever. Then you grab a timer and you make yourself wait that amount of time, and that's how you start to figure out how much time should I give them for this or that. So it's all part of the learning process. And some of you are already teaching, so you know this kind of stuff. And please chime in when you have the opportunity. Okay. I'm also looking for diversification in your instruction. So sage on the stage is the old saying about someone standing in the front just telling you information. Like history teachers are really well known for that. And they're great if they're interesting and fun to watch. So that hence the whole sage on the stage. However, I would give you a strong guideline of 10 minutes of instruction at the most. So when you're creating your instructional plan, um, I would say you're up talking only 10 minutes before you have them get out of their seats and do something, or pair up, or write something down where they have to think about what you said. Now take 30 seconds and write 3 ideas, or get up and use a giant poster board and put, you might have 3 poster boards up on the wall and it's like 3 pre-post, I don't know, whatever. You make up the prompts on the big post-its before class. So maybe you talk for 10 minutes, then you have them get up and have them write something on the post-its, or you have them write something on the whiteboard if you don't have time to do post-its. Giant post-its is what I mean, not little ones. You could use Padlet if everybody has a device and you want to assume everyone has a device in class. You can write a lesson plan for that because it's coming. And so the more you flip it, the more you blend it, the better off you are because it's just coming. Okay, so there's that. So I'm looking for diversification in instruction to engage different types of learners. Bonus points if you can come up with something that's very tactile, because no one ever teaches to tactile unless you're taking a shop class. Can the kids do a skit? That speaks to kinesthetic learners. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for with diversification, not just sage on the stage, but how are you going to make it interesting? How are you going to engage different types of learners? Visual, auditory, tactile, kinesthetic. All right, you can also talk about multiple intelligences if you'd like. Identify web-based tools you can use within your instructions. I've given you a couple of samples there. Personal finance, you could absolutely have them jump on Khan Academy. There's an app for that. So if they have phones or you have computers or you want to assume you have one-to-one technology in your room, then give me the link to the Khan Academy lesson you're going to have them do. A video you want them to watch because there's a ton of stuff in there. There's also tons of other places that do great personal finance stuff. There's so much for that. Okay, onward. Okay, create a rubric and an assessment and a rubric. So how are you going to assess what you've taught? And then you need to communicate to students how you plan to grade that. So for this, let's see, you're doing 3 lessons. I like to have one deliverable that's broken up into a couple of different parts. And this may not work for you. It depends on what your topics are and such. But if I'm going to have them do a signature paper, let's say, and it's a 7-page paper, I'm going to break it up into like 4 or 5 parts. And so it could be that with this first lesson you're just doing part 1 of a bigger project. And the reason why I do that is, number one, I give kids feedback at multiple steps in the project. So it takes a big project and it chunks it down into really bite-sized pieces. And second of all, if I grade it little by little, it gets better. And then by the end, it's pretty much flawless. And honestly, my grading of my 7-page paper is like, yeah, I've seen that 3 times. It's good. We're good to go. So it cuts down on grading because it's like you spread out the grading as well as spreading out the learning. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about assessment and how you want to do that. Okay, so I have 5, 10, 9 minutes to spare. 9 minutes. I have 5 seconds. I got to wrap it because I got to make it under 10 so I don't lose you. I hope this helps, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you have.